Hello and welcome to SKU Food Bottom Line Builder How-To Basics. Today we're talking about Retail Math 101, Markup versus Margin. My name is Gary Morton, and together with Peter Chapman, we developed SKUfood.com, a one-of-a-kind resource for food businesses to help them grow the bottom line. To build a strong buyer-supplier relationship, you need to learn to speak the language of your customer. Markup and margin are often misunderstood terms. People get trapped by the dogma or misbeliefs about markup and margin, past preconceptions of what they have about the terms. Let's have a look here comparing markup and margin. In these tables, you can see on the left-hand side is the markup column, on the right-hand side is the margin column. We can see that a markup of 10% is only equal to a margin of 9.9%, or a markup of 100% is only equal to a margin of 50%. And a markup of 50% is a margin of 33.3%. So there is a difference, and it's important to know what those differences are. Confusion between markup and margin costs you money or creates conflict with you and your customer, which can be very problematic at the least. There are different viewpoints here. Markup is supplier thinking. Margin tends to be buyer thinking. And we're going to explain those. Suppliers think from cost. They have the cost of their product, then they have a markup that they put onto that cost, and they come up with a selling price, the price that they want to sell to their customer. Let's look at an example of markup now. The total cost of the product is $1. You want to add a markup of 30%, which is 30 cents. You want to have a markup of a profit of 20%, which adds another 26 cents. You have a distribution cost, so you want to add 10% for distribution, which adds 15 cents, which comes up to a selling price of $1.71. So this is using the markup process. Suppliers talk and think markup because their focus is on delivering products to their customers. They often don't know the price the consumer is going to pay, and they think cost plus because it's their cost of production plus a profit. And they know the markup required for them to succeed in the marketplace. Now let's look at the buyer or your customer. The buyer knows what the product is going to sell for in the marketplace, so they focus on the selling price. They know the margin or the percent of margin that they need to be successful. So this helps them determine the cost that they can pay for a product. When they know what it's going to sell for in the marketplace and they know the margin that they have to get, then they know the cost that they're prepared to pay their supplier for that product. Margin. Let's look at a margin example here. The selling price is $2.59 for this product. You want to have a margin of 35%, which is 56 cents. It's 35% of $2.59. And that means the cost has got to be $1.68. If you want to have a margin of 35%, you want to sell that product for $2.59, then the cost of that product has to be $1.68. Buyers talk and think margin because their focus is on the price their customer will pay for that product. They know the margins required for them to succeed. Their organizational thinking is margin oriented, not markup oriented. Let's look at a couple more examples here to try to clear this up. Markup is on the top here, and markup is a function of cost. So if we look at in the yellow box, it costs $1 for the product, and it's going to sell for $1.50 if you have a 50% markup. So if we go back and break this down, you can see that 50% of a dollar is 50 cents. So if you mark it up 50%, it's going to be marking it up by 50 cents. So the selling price is going to be $1.50. Now margin, on the other hand, if the product costs $1 and it needs to sell for $1.50 in the marketplace, then you can see the margin is coming from top down. So if we take 50 cents from $1.50, which is the selling price, that's only 33% of the product price. So you can see that there is a difference here between markup and margin. Here's another example we can look at to compare margin and markup. In the top row, in the orange boxes, we can see we're looking at margin. So your cost is $2 and you want to have a margin of 50%. So that means you make $2 and it's going to sell, you're going to sell that product for $4 in the marketplace. The distributor has a margin of 25% they want to get. So that adds another $1.33, which brings the product selling price at the distributor level up to $5.33. That distributor is going to sell to that retailer for $5.33, but that retailer wants to get a 35% margin. So now the product is going to go up by $2.87 and retail for $8.20. So it started off at $2 down at your end, your cost. You wanted to have your 50% margin, so you sold it for $4. The distributor wanted a 25% margin, so they sold it for $5.33. The retailer wants a 35% margin. They'll sell it for $8.20 in the marketplace. Now let's compare if we were doing a markup. Your cost is $2. You want to mark it up 100% because you still want to sell it for $4 and get your $2. But if your distributor was marking it up 25%, they would only be getting $1, and they would be selling it for $5 because 25% of $4 is $1. Now they're selling that product to their customer, the retailer, at $5. The retailer wants a markup of 35%, so that's $1.75, which is 35% of $5, which means the retail price is $6.75. And you can see that there's quite a difference here between the two. So margin comes up with a totally different price than if you were using markup. So this is where a lot of the confusion stems from, and it's important to get these clear. Confusion, as I said, will cost you money, or it will create conflict between you and between the supplier and the buyer, which is never good. Now I'd like to go through an example of how to calculate a gross margin percent. And what we're trying to do here is we know what the selling price is, we know what the cost is, so we want to calculate what is that gross margin percent. So first off, in step one, we need a selling price. So we have a $15 selling price, which is A in our example. Step two is we need to know the cost. So in our example, B is our cost of $10. And step three, we want to calculate that gross margin. So we're going to take A, which is $15, minus B, our cost, which is $10, and the difference is $5, which is our gross margin. To calculate the gross margin percent, we take C, which is the gross margin, which is $5. We're going to divide it by the selling price, which is $15, and we're going to multiply by 100, and it's going to give us the percent. So it's 33.3% margin. So if our selling price is $15, our cost is $10, then our gross margin percent is going to be 33.3%. The next one is we want to calculate a selling price from a given gross margin percent. So we know what the gross margin percent is, we know what the cost of the product is, but we need to calculate what that selling price is going to be. So step one is what's the gross margin profit, and that's 35% or 0.35. Step two is subtract that gross margin percent from 1, so that's going to give us 0.65. When we subtract 0.35 from 1, we get 0.65. Step three is what is the cost, so we know the cost is $10, and to get that selling price we're going to take our cost, which is C, and divide it by B, which is our gross margin percent minus 1, and that's going to be 10 divided by 0.65 gives us a selling price of $15.39, which is their selling price. So if we know our gross margin percent is 35% and we know our cost is $10, then the selling price is going to be $15.39. Now, some people have trouble with the math, or they have trouble remembering the math when they need it. So at SKU Food, we have a great little resource called the SKU Food Profit Wheel. The Profit Wheel makes it easy to calculate markups and margins. It's portable, you can carry it in your pocket. There are two plastic wheels that are joined together, and you'll see numbers around both sides, but it allows you to calculate the markup from cost price and the margin from the selling price. And it's a handy little tool, and I can't say enough about it, and everybody loves it when they see it. We also have a video that you can use with the Profit Wheel to teach you how to use it if you have any trouble with that, but it's very handy once you catch on to it. And it's available to purchase at www.skufood.com. Let's recap what you've learned here today. We've learned the difference between markup and margin, and that there is a difference. We've learned markup is cost plus, and margin is from the selling price down. To calculate that margin percent, you figured out how to do that, and you learned how to calculate a selling price from a margin percent. And you learned about the SKU Food Profit Wheel that makes it easy to do these calculations. So congratulations, you're now speaking the language of the retailer. You can take your Profit Wheel and you can go out and in your negotiations you can be confident that you're going to understand markups and margins and do the best for your negotiation and put the most to the bottom line. For more information on building your food business bottom line, visit www.skufood.com, where there's lots of resources to download, free resources that are there for you to help you put more to the bottom line of your business. SKU Food offers members a community, group coaching, masterclass one-on-one, consulting, and market research. So thank you very much for attending today, and I hope to see you inside SKU Food.